talk a little bit about what we found on the site in terms of sectors. What are some of the most important ones? Who wants to start?
Keep out the wildlife, keep out the deer.
I think the trees.
Get more sun.
Mm-hmm.
We need
Yeah,
more sun?
you're right. Yeah, I think we need more sunlight in here.
Okay.
Disease.
Yeah.
Disease. Talk about that. How do you reflect it?
The trees have disease.
How is it a sector?
So maybe there's a cure for it, maybe not.
Fire. Set the whole canyon on fire.
Yeah, right.
If fire
That'll do
comes
it.
next door, it might come over.
I'm just kidding.
That's
Well-
what we do in the national.
Disease.
Can you treat a tree with disease, or
Sure.
how do-
Sure.
tell me
There's
how.
really nothing you can do to a tree that's already in decline, but you can slow the aging process or arrest it,
Okay.
depending on the tree species, how old it is, where it is. So that has to be part of the pato, the protracted and thoughtful observation that we encounter and indulge in and continue to do. So mitigating disease with management regimes, coming in with manual labor, trimming, thinning, mulching, chipping, cutting, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Like the rainwater, I believe you mean the water from the sky water from the house. The rainwater if it's from the house. Maybe we can have a plan to catch it in gutter. Have a container down here. Like those big tanks,
Yeah, the big
Yeah,
tank.
good idea.
Do it.
Catch
Yeah.
it when you have them to use, like if
irrigate.
the time is dry, you have them
Yeah.
to use. Yeah.
'Cause it's right here,
It's on the hillside and you don't have
Yeah,
to get a pump or
very
anything.
easy
You just
Right.
turn the knob.
going down.
Yeah.
And it's
about-
an area you don't really look at, so you don't mind,
Right.
the aesthetics aren't as much of a problem.
And how do we bring dogs, our man's best friend, into the equation? How is a dog a sector?
Children and dog, I don't know.
What are impacts of animals on a permaculture site?
Dogs can scare other critters that you don't want around,
Right.
like
They do.
deer
Like raccoons.
or raccoons,
Oh, raccoons.
possum.
Kind of dangerous. They tear up everything.
Yeah, but these dogs.
Actually, I
don't
love
do-
seeing this day. We have deer that hang out just on the other side of the fence.
Yeah,
And they don't seem to be afraid of us. The thing's right over there.
yeah.
Raccoons? Raccoons?
No,
Deer,
deer.
big deer with
Oh,
the
deer.
stick.
Hey,
Or
deer.
They
Oh,
sit
great.
there
right
chewing.
there.
Majestic.
There.
Chewing. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
eating right
Great.
there, whatever is
Yeah.
Oh,
growing.
electric fence. That was one way to
Yeah,
kind of deal with the wildlife that's
Right.
portable. You can move it around. You don't have to have it in one place all the time.
yeah.
It's easy to install. You just plug it in. That's it. It wraps up into a roll. Farmers use it all over the place.
It's interesting that there now becomes some inner overlap, interconnectedness between the sectors. Wildlife, animals, domestic animals, sun, shade, elevation, water. So we're starting to move from just sort of observations to some rote analysis here. Starting to create
Look
a
at
map,
relationships.
a relationship map. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out. Are there sectors that we've missed that I didn't put on the list initially? Dottie, did we miss any of your sectors?
I think you're pretty thorough.
What about view?
View?
The
Oh,
view
yeah, the
sector
view.
from the house.
Yeah, that's.
So when I'm having my, salmon and Pinot Noir, I want to be able to look down at the canyon and see a beautiful view.
Yeah.
I would consider that a
Right.
sector.
You're right.
Righto.
Views are
Well,
valuable.
that would increase
The tree.
dramatically in that
Yeah.
corner tree, especially.
Mhm.
I wish we could have access to this, but even downhill, when that creek is rushing after the storms in the winter, I mean, I can see a little bit of glistening,
Right.
and it would be really cool
To see it.
have access to really see that
Oh,
creek.
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. So, and obviously, if you took out, if we did eventually, if we could afford to take out a couple of these trees, that opens up the other canyon. Yeah. The views, nice. That improves the value of the property.
Is the creek on your property?
No way. No, but
It's
it looks
public
like we
land.
don't know exactly where the corners are because it's too expensive to get a real survey. So I was hoping somebody might come along who likes to do this type of thing, a friend of Diego's maybe, and walk it. But if you look at that map, I maybe we didn't give you one, Dahlia. I can show you the contour map, the parcel lot. It's got it looks like it's 75 feet beyond the road
Really?
on this side, and then 50 feet
Yeah,
on the other side of the lot, which is pretty far down.
Did you grab my little piece of paper and the map that was up there by the bottle of drink I had?
No.
Nah?
You need it?
Oh yeah, you had that big. You had that map.
You need it?
Well, that's what we were just talking about right now.
Do you have your copy
Seeing
of
the
it?
seeing the original survey.
No, your big one.
There should be one right here.
Yeah, it must be. So we talked about thinning wood out of the lower section, making furniture and using it for retaining purposes. That's a really interesting one.
What did you just say?
Oh, we're just talking about reusing and recycling wood that
Yeah,
we cut.
right.
There's lots to do with it.
It was a long time ago. Thank you. Oh, it's different.
So this has been good. This is a good list.
Well,
Good in a relationship too.
yeah. I wish we had more time to discuss, maybe we have time, that slope.
Oh, well, we can do that now.
Okay.
Are you guys ready to move on to look at a site, look at some initial strategies?
Well,
Yeah.
I want to talk about first, how do you decide your priorities? And when you have land like this, and all these issues, there has to be a
Very good
methodology. You know, you have to have a method by what you develop. You're not want to start like when you're painting. You don't put yourself in the corner. You know.
Well, the easy way to look at that is to take Sarah's vision statement, which is now elaborated upon, and let's look at that and let's see what we can find that we have some affinity towards. We can go and take that list of hers and run it through 1 through 3, 4, 5 if we wanted to, right now. But I think it'd be more important just to check it out. Let's look at it. Maybe Sarah can elaborate on what some of the stuff is and maybe give a sense of what her priority is. After all, the priority here is the owner of the home, not us.
That would be Robert, he's upstairs,
All right, where is he?
but I'm representing him.
So I mean, that's 2 answers, right?
Okay.
Here's a list we can use, and here's the owner who can elaborate upon what she really wants. So that's how I
Okay.
do it.
I think we're going into winter, so we expect more rainfall, right? So I think several things have to happen at the same time, maybe, because we're sort of in the middle of this project with the trees. Yes? Although that could be. Let's see. So do we
Trees?
want to look at the water collection and
Okay.
retaining walls, so not all the soil washes away? So the retaining wall and first probably, and then the water. So that's a huge plan. I mean, what to do on that hillside? Do you start at the top? Do you start at the bottom?
Well,
Can we put
that's a
trees
good
in there?
question.
Do we
I
put anything in there right now, or
I
do we
think
just
starting at the top of the watershed is best, and then work your way down, and then working with with nature's patterns and cycles. So since we're going into wintertime and the wet season,
just
we-
let it?
we want to use all that great weather to build soil
Right.
for the planting season.
Okay, hold on. Okay, good. However, I've enjoyed listening to Lloyd because he says, what are you worried about the soil? You've got plenty of good soil around here. What's this nonsense about building up everywhere? That's for city folk who are a lot of the time who are just rebuilding city lots that haven't had all the nutrients and the soil
Well,
that
he's
we have,
talking
so-
about here. You could start
Well,
right now and have a fall garden.
Sure, we could have the fall
Up
garden.
there,
That's
you have a
little
major erosion problem,
That's right.
and the place to start there is the top. And there's another word you say in permaculture. It depends. Like every solution depends depends on all of the situations that are particular to that situation. So this is one, system.
Sure. So I'm trying to understand, when you say, I'm listening to Diego, start at the top, and you say building up the
Top.
soil,
On
are you
that-
talking about retaining the hillside, or are you talking about, what are you talking about?
I think you can make the soil more nutritious for your plants. Sure, the soil is good already, but we have to, I think, be mindful of the parent material of the soil. What is this? I think it's a sandstone kind of base. High erosion problems are in the canyon because of the parent material. And when I say work from the top down, you can, it's just easier to do that. And working on the really steep slopes and cultivating the really steep slopes is harder. So terracing that and making the access, using the access, making it available to you so you can get to the areas where you want to work and farm and grow food or plant trees. And so it's stacking functions. So if you're going to build a terrace, make sure that there's an access with the terrace so you can get to where you're going or where you want to go. But you can always build soil. You can always build soil. And you've got all this great organic matter everywhere. It just makes sense to use the natural cycles to help break all this stuff down, and that essentially is building soil.
So going back to the hillside, how would you suggest, or how could we make it a priority to discuss this more? How to stabilize the hill?
That side.
That side. I'm talking
Yes.
about only that side right now. And when I read about building a path, you start at the bottom when you're building a path. So maybe you're saying from retaining walls, you're developing from the top.
Why build a path from the bottom?
That's what the books said.
I think you
Why did
protect
it
the
say
land
that?
Why
if-
did it
if
say
you
that? I
in
think
case
because
it got
you're
around,
stepping.
You protect the land if you have a retaining wall at bottom first.
You
I
dig.
think you protect everything from the top, the retaining wall, if you're gonna have a retaining wall. I think you protect everything, nothing go away past that wall. Then you can work on the top and protect the top. But how to figure the retaining wall, if you want to protect the whole land, the retaining wall would come first. You don't have to do it first, but I mean the retaining wall protect the rest of the land. But the